Okay?
Okay. Hi OmiseGO community, my name is Vansa. I'm the CEO of OmiseGO. So you might have read it in my blog. Recently I took part in the World Economic Forum's first Blockchain Council meeting in San Francisco. What became very clear to me is that we need both civil servants, businesses, and government to come together and try to forge cross-border as well as national regulations around blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So this month's AMA questions were circled around the blog post that I made, which you can look at the link below. And I'm going to go through the top 4 that we had. So here we go. Can you name ways in which the team's commitment to regulatory compliance has directly resulted in, or will result in, the onboarding of one or more major business partners to use the OmiseGO network? So I think it's important for us to recognize that the regulations both on the local and international level is still very gray and new. Regulators are still trying to catch up to figure it out. How do we regulate decentralized platforms as well as cryptocurrencies? Right, you already see major jurisdictions like the UK, the US, as well as a couple Asian countries like Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong starting to form an opinion around crypto assets as well as blockchain, the technology itself. What we think is the other jurisdiction will start to look at them as best practice and follow suit. So as a team, we're keeping a very close eye across all of these major jurisdictions, and we're making sure that whatever that we build in the infrastructure layer will be able to support the decentralized applications that are built on top. Right, so we don't want to close off any opportunities. Concretely, we've been in discussion with the UK FCA, as well as Singapore MAS and Thailand BOT, so Bank of Thailand, as well as the SEC. We're also in discussion with the Japanese Regulations and Association that are working around blockchain. At the international cross-border level, we're also talking with the WEF as well as the World Bank in hopes that we can provide input that is helpful when they go and shape cross-border regulations. So, as you can probably tell from my answer, it's still a very new area. We're all trying to figure it out. And the best thing that we can do as a team building the infrastructure is make sure that we don't close off any opportunities in the future. How does OmiseGO intend to incorporate Fiat into the network when there are such heavy government regulations surrounding national currencies? So OmiseGO itself is a network, and we're essentially token agnostic. So in our interaction with Fiat would be something along of the USDT, where somebody else has already tokenized and issued out a stablecoin version. And so we're not engaging with the government regulation as an issuer in a sense. How hard will it actually be to have a peer-to-peer, currency-agnostic, decentralized world exchange that can transact any asset in comparison to loyalty points as a main initial avenue for transactions in the face of regulations? So similar to question 2, OmiseGO network is essentially currency agnostic. What that means is we facilitate the different tokens and applications that run on top of the network, right? If you look at the internet and how it's formulated with the TCP/IP, even though there are standards, it's actually open in terms of regulations. And so OmiseGO can be looked at in the same way, where we're just a facilitator of financial applications. And so the regulations will actually happen, the stacks on top of the network itself. Initially, it was communicated that clients would be the ones to ensure necessary compliance with the jurisdiction that they're in while using the OmiseGO network. Is this still the case? If not, what is your plan to address these regulatory concerns on the network layer? So this is still very much the case, where we ask the clients to be responsible for compliance and regulatory requirements. Given that the network is global and there are multiple use cases that can be built on the network itself, we as a company can't cover all of the jurisdictions. So we work with our clients essentially to try to help them address all of these issues around compliance and regulations. So that's it for this month's AMA, guys. If you're curious about our development and you want to follow our progress, please subscribe to the newsletter as well as follow our blog posts and various social media outlets. Thank you again for your time and for tuning in. We'll see you next month.